Seemed to fly by, didn't it? But here we are, January 1st. Time to wipe the slate clean and start anew. Although the football season in the NFL isn't quite ready to wipe the slate clean, although for some teams it's getting close to that time of clean out your locker and calling it a year. But I'm not ready for that yet. I'm not ready for that. But boy, yesterday certainly didn't help us Seahawks fans out there. But we're going to talk about that game. We're going to talk about a bunch more as well. But first, again, if you're a first-time watching, my name is NorbCam, NorbCam, and you can catch me on all my social media here, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, X, and Facebook, all under the name NorbCam. So I'd greatly appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button or like button or follow what I do, and you can watch all my content that I put out throughout the week, in addition to these reports on Bleacher Report. All right, so yesterday was a very emotional day for a number of reasons. Obviously, from just a fan standpoint, this game was huge. It was kind of not like a must-win, all or nothing kind of thing, but certainly would have been a huge boost to our playoff hopes if we could have won that game yesterday. So we had playoffs on the line, last game of the 2023 season at home. And for me personally, it was very emotional because it was also the game in which the Seahawks recognized me as the 2023 Fan of the Year in the stadium. And I'm going to show you a little video of my experience of that a little bit later. So I had a lot of my family there. Normally, it's usually just maybe my dad and one of my friends who I go with. But this time I had my wife, Jen, my daughters, Vanessa and Sophie. I had both my parents, Bert and Shoni Kawili. I had my sister, Monica, her husband, Don, and my nephew even was also in attendance. So a lot of stuff happening leading up to that game and during the game. And made it actually a little bit hard to just focus on the game because there's so much going on pregame with going onto the field, coordinating with all my family members. So there's a lot to juggle as the day went along. But once we got past all the fanfare, all the festivities, well, then it became all about the Seahawks and the Steelers in this must-win game. So disappointing. So disappointing watching this game unfold. And it was actually a good game in terms of the flow of it. As usual, the Seahawks fall behind early. They have to come from behind to, they eventually tie up the game. At one point, they take the lead. We're looking pretty good, but then they gave it up. It was back and forth. And at a certain point, I thought, man, this is going to be one of those games where the first team to turn the ball over is going to probably lose. And sure enough, there was one crucial turnover that Steelers forced a sack fumble, got the football back, and took advantage of that and put them up 2 scores, and that became the difference, really. And, so, it was about as exciting as you could hope for. It was just the most demoralizing aspect of this game was going into it, obviously, we were in the driver's seat. We controlled our own destiny, and that's what every team wants as you enter into the final 1 or 2 games of the regular season. If you can control your own destiny, you don't have to worry about other teams helping you out. Like, oh, hope this team loses, or that team wins and beats this guy so we can get, like last year, we had to back our way into the playoffs. We needed the Lions to go down to Green Bay and beat them on their turf for us to go to the playoffs. Well, we're back in that situation once again. And I'll talk a little bit more about the playoff scenarios in a little bit, but I want to focus just on this game. The biggest issue watching this game, frustratingly enough, was a problem we've had all year. And that was the Seattle defense inability to stop the run, to tackle, and to make a clutch big play when they had to. I mean, it was pretty much the theme all day. And it was the Steelers and really the teams from the NFC North, with the exception of the Browns, have really kind of bullied us all year. We should have beaten the Bengals on the road, and we bungled that game. We did beat the Browns at home, but when it came to the Ravens, they mopped the floor with us. Steelers, they didn't mop us up as far as the score, but if you look at the stats, they just ran the ball down our throats. I mean, it was clear what their plan was, and I knew that was going to be their plan. Everybody knew it. and they couldn't stop it. And the worst part was that there were times when we would have people in the right positions, whether it be a corner containing the outside, or you'd have a linebacker or a lineman making the initial contact, and you go, oh, cool, let's just be able to stop them for 1 yard or 2 yard. And then they would just keep pushing or bounce off and roll for another 3-4 yards. And it was like that all game long. It felt like the Steelers just out-physicaled the Seahawks. And it's really been kind of the issue all year. We've been talking about, the ups and downs, the frustrations with this team. And I don't think at any point did we ever feel like the defense played great all season. Now, to start the year off, it felt like, I remember thinking, wow, the run defense is not the issue, at least for the first few games. I remember actually being pleasantly surprised, thinking Jarran Reed is a beast in the middle, and we were doing a pretty good job of stopping the run initially. But it felt like as the game went along and teams started committing more to the run, we could not put a stop to it. And that's what's so frustrating about it. With a team that for so many years under Pete Carroll, defense was their signature, right? It was the thing that we did best offensively and the thing that we did great on defensively. When it came to being physical, whether it's running the football down their throats or stopping the run and being the team that everybody's afraid of, because you had guys that were going to lay the wood down, lay the lumber down on these guys. There was a fear factor. Now it feels like we're just soft at what happened to tackling. I remember there was a time back in the LOB days, they talked about the rugby-style tackling that the team was utilizing, and that's why they were so good defensively at stopping the run. And now, I don't know what happened to that, because it felt like that's a lost art, that the Seahawks in general have forgotten how to tackle. And I don't know, is it just because nowadays in practices nobody tackles anymore, so they don't practice it, so they're not good at it? Or is there something fundamentally wrong with the approach? Because you could scheme everything up, have the right guys in the right places, and you go, okay, this guy's going to take this guy. Okay, it's one-on-one. This guy's got to take the running back and tackle him. And if you do that job, then the play is stopped for a couple yards or something. But instead, we see guys spin off, he misses, he throws a shoulder into him, and he just bounces and keeps going. Or he gets a stiff arm, like, oh man, Reek Woolen just got slammed into the turf with a nasty, nasty stiff arm. But it felt like that epitomized the whole feel of the entire game as it pertained to the Steelers' offense, pushing our defense around. And to be in week 18 now and this still being a problem we're talking about, you don't just fix this. You can't just go, well, we'll just fix our tackling next week. I mean, it's been a problem for 17 weeks, and they're going to carry this into next week in a must win situation against a team in the Arizona Cardinals who just upset the Eagles, shockingly. So a lot of things not going well for the Seahawks in this particular weekend, but losing really just set themselves really back to now. Back is against the wall big time. There were some positive in this game. Can't say it was all negative, but that was the crux of the issue. Defense, inability to tackle, giving up too many yards on the ground, and then when the Steelers needed to, they got it done in the air. They didn't rely on that, but man, did they make some huge plays when they had to. So Steelers were just a better team, at least yesterday. And it's a tough one. Tough one to swallow because we gave up so much control over our destiny yesterday. So let's go check out a few highlights. There weren't a lot, but there were a few worth checking out. So let's go to the tape and see a couple of these bright moments in the game. All right here. This is early second quarter action. Gino running for his life. He hits DK on the scramble drill down the field for about 25 yards. DK had a great day, breaking 100 yards and getting 1,000 on the season. Here's a few plays later. Handoff. Kenneth Walker doing his thing and ties the game up 7-7. Nice little run-off tackle. There's DK blocking on the left side. Nice blocking by the left side of the line. Big open hole they could drive a truck through. This is later on, down 10-7. Beautiful throw to Jackson Smith-Njigba back of the end zone right over the defender. And it was a beautiful throw to take the lead 14-10. But later on, we're down to 24-17. Gino showing his wheels, running across the field, run out of breath, runs out of bounds there. It was nice to see Gino take off and run. This was early or late third quarter, down a touchdown. Unfortunately, they would all be field goals the rest of the way as Gino, this is one of the more explosive plays, one of our biggest run plays of the day, but just wasn't enough as the Steelers would go on to win 30-23. And I mentioned it earlier that, watching this game, it was like we were behind from the beginning, then we took the lead, and then it was just back and forth. Steelers got, a few touchdowns, one touchdown more than us. We had to settle for field goals, and it came to that point. I remember we were down 7 with the ball going, okay, we need to drive here to keep up with the Steelers. And right after saying it, like the team that turns over the ball here is going to, first is going to lose this game. And sure enough, first play of that drive, as they're trying to tie the ball game up. First play, Gino gets sacked from behind. Ball comes out loose. They recover at the 16. I think we're able to stop him from getting into the end zone and made it only a field goal, but nonetheless, it made it a 10-point game at that point. We could never quite close the gap. We made it a one-score game, had to rely on the onside kick, and, well, you know how tough those are to get these days. And that would be the final, 20-13. That's so frustrating. And not really even, it was frustrating that we lost, of course, but really frustrating that we lost the way that we did. When you feel like, there were times during the game where I remember seeing a few plays that we missed some opportunities. There was a play, I believe it was in the third quarter, and Gino was scrambling and a roll right, and Noah Fant had gotten behind the secondary. It's wide open heading to the corner. And I was like, throw it! And I look over, and by the time I'm saying it, Gino's throwing a crossing route to, I think, Kobe Parkinson. It's dropped. So I don't know if he just didn't see it or he had a guy in his face. Maybe he couldn't step and make that throw. But if he throws that ball, Noah Fant takes it easy for a touchdown and then closes that gap even tighter than it would have been at that juncture of the game. So there was that. And then, of course, the other back-breaking play when the Steelers were going, I believe it was fourth quarter, they were at 3rd and long, like 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 9, and perfect time for the Seattle to get a stop and have a chance to tie the game up. And they hit Pickens on a crosser towards the near sideline and just throws a perfect ball just on the fingertips as Pickens grabs that ball and tumbles and gets the first down. That was a huge play. It was a great throw, great catch. Got behind the secondary, Michael Jackson. Was brutal. Brutal just to have that, just to miss that opportunity. Could have gotten off the field, but they made the plays when they had to. Tyler Parcher is in here on the chat. Said, Norb, stream the Kraken game. Well, I will be streaming, of course, today. The big game that we're looking forward to is the semifinal game, the Huskies versus the Texas Longhorns in the semifinal. I've been looking forward to this game for weeks now. And that game is tonight, 5:30, so definitely going to be watching that one. So you can tune into my YouTube channel, and I'll be streaming reactions of that game. So, but back to this, back to the frustration that was this Seahawks game. Just going to pull up a few stats to kind of really spell out what happened in this game. But if you look at the team stats here, first downs, 25-17. Most of those are rushing. I mean, this right here tells the story. 14 rushing first downs to 4. I mean, that is just pummeling your opponent right there. 6 of 13, 3 of 9 on third down, which is not actually horrible, but that's still better third down efficiency, much more opportunities. 71 plays of 49. The yardage, a good 100 yards more than us. Time of possession was 18. Oh, was it 37 minutes to 22? That's a full quarter of time of possession in the favor of the Steelers. But here's the biggest number right here. This right here. 202 rushing yards to 88 for Seattle. And we know how Seattle's built, right? I've always said if the Seahawks can go through a game where they have 20, 25 carries and rushing for over 100 yards, whether as a team or individually, they're usually going to win that game. But when it's the reverse of that, like we got right there, 202 yards of rushing by the Steelers to 88 for Seattle. That you could just show me that stat right there, and I already know we lost the game. Unless there's some crazy turnover thing, like 4 turnovers to nothing. But you just pull up that rushing stat right there. That's the first thing you can look at. You'll know the results of the game before you even see the score or anything else. Geno Smith wasn't bad. I mean, you look at these stats up here. Geno was 23-33, 290 yards and a touchdown. No picks, but he did have that sack fumble. I don't blame him on that because it was a blindside hit from the off left tackle. Cross got beat, and he got to him, on the inside. When you got to get that pocket, it's supposed to push that defender upfield so that Geno's got the time to find those targets, and he just got an inside move and slapped that ball loose, and that really was the play of the game. That did the Seahawks in, the nail in the coffin, essentially. Kenneth Walker, not bad, really. It was 10 carries for 53 yards. I mean, that's a great average. That's a 5.3-yard average, but he only got 10 carries. Not enough. DK Metcalf, as I said earlier, 5 receptions for 106 yards. Had a great day. Happy for him. He's had a great season. But, just not enough. And again, just the defense letting us down where we really needed them to rise up and match the physical nature of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, again, DK Metcalf, 5 for 106. Noah Fant, 5 for 59. Should have been 6 and a touchdown. Charbonnet with a few there. Parkinson. And Jigba only got targeted 1 reception. 2 targets. How did he only get targeted twice? Don't understand. But I don't blame the offense. The offense, at a point watching the game, I remember thinking, wow, this is one of those games where the Seahawks offense has to be perfect. Otherwise, we lose because the defense is so badly being slammed, pushed around, that the offense can't make a single mistake. It's like you can't not make that one catch that's going to be the first down. You can't, miss one little execution point or, the game's over. And that's how thin that margin of error is. And that's why the sack fumble became such a big deal. All right, so let's talk a little bit about I want to save a few minutes, as I got about 11 minutes left in the stream, to talk about my Fan of the Year experience, to show a little video clip of that. But here's the playoff situation as I understand it. Technically, the Seahawks still have a chance for that final wild card spot. And basically, what it comes down to is this: 2 things. The Seahawks must beat the Cardinals, and the game is on Sunday, by the way. It hadn't been scheduled really until this weekend wrapped up, so the game will be on Sunday in the afternoon. So the Seahawks have to beat the Cardinals, but more importantly, and I'm not sure schedule-wise which happens first, is this other game that we rely on going to happen at the same time? Hopefully it's the same time, so it's one of those things where you already know the results, so then there's no point in watching your own game. But the Packers, because of their win last night, they need to lose to the Chicago Bears in Lambeau Field for us to make the playoffs. This is exactly like last year, except it's a different opponent. But it still comes down to us relying on the Green Bay Packers to lose at home in Lambeau to an NFC North team. The only difference was it was the Lions last year, and now it's the Chicago Bears. Unfortunately, the Lions were a good team last year, and they're an even better team this year. The Bears, got to count on the Bears to beat the Packers at home, in addition to us winning our game, which, again, the Cardinals just upset the Eagles, so you got that. So, amazing how things changed in one day. So it's not out of the woods, but man, talk about 2 things that are suddenly looking very daunting right now. See, if the Vikings could have won yesterday, then the Vikings would have played the Lions. I would have liked that matchup a lot better until go in our favor. But since the Lions got beat bad by the Packers, now that's what it comes down to. We got to hope the Packers lose and hope the Seahawks get a win. Otherwise, it's sayonara. So long till next year. Best we can do is 9-8. Match last year's record. Feels very different, though, doesn't it? Last year, we were expecting to go 4-13, and we went 9-8, shocked everybody. This year was like we were all expecting double-digit wins. And really could have had that if they'd won yesterday. But now the best we can do is match last year's record. It feels very disappointing. But it ain't over till it's over. So we'll just keep on fighting. Hope something good comes out of all this. When is that game anyway? Well, I'll have to take a peek and find out. Let's see. I can look that up right now. Let's find out from the schedule. I know the Seahawks play at 1 o'clock on Sunday. And as far as the Packers game, that game takes place. If they're smart, they'll do it at the same time, so nobody's already quit on it. And certainly that is the case. The Seahawks and the Packers will play at the same time. So we will be scoreboard watching as we're watching our own game to see how meaningful things are. So you hope the Seahawks are leading, good halfway through the game, and you're hoping you pick over the scoreboard and you see the Bears shockingly dominating the Packers. That's where we hope to be, right about 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday next week. Okay, so back to more enjoyable things about this game last week. So as I mentioned earlier, I was fortunate enough to be named the 2023 Seahawks Fan of the Year. So thank you very much. I can't say enough to the Seahawks organization for choosing me to be their representative. So this is like a dream come true as a kid who watched this team in elementary school back in the late 70s, 1979 when I started watching football and discovered the Seahawks. And to think that this would be an honor that I would receive in this year, some 40-something years later, is crazy. But very fun. Love it. So this was my day yesterday. I tried to document some of the day as it led up to the moment when they introduced me before the game. So here's a little sneak peek at my Fan of the Year introduction day at Lumen Field. Check it out. What's up, everybody? NorbCam coming at you. Seahawks Steelers today, last home game of the year, Fan Appreciation Day. It's actually a special day for me too because they're going to do the whole Fan of the Year recognition for me before the game, before kickoff. Really excited. So I got my kids with me. They haven't been to a Seahawks game in a long time.
I've been there since I was like 2 or 3 years old.
Yep, excited to have you guys here. And there's Jen leading the pack, trying to keep up. Going in. Go Hawks. You got to recognize Save Our Seahawks. 96, save them from moving to LA. Guess who we got on the list right there? Mark Collins. Mark is the one who nominated me for Fan of the Year, by the way. So shout out to Mark. Tap in and tap in. All right. So about an hour before kickoff, down here near the field level, getting ready to meet Leah, our contact with the Seahawks. Had to go get a quick shot here with our Super Bowl 48 logo. And we're about to get down on the field. There he is. All right. It's time to meet. Going down on the field with my wife, Jen. All right. Final game, Seahawks Steelers Fan Appreciation Day. And we're going to get to go down the field.
He's not worthy.
It's his fault. If he didn't do this whole thing, none of this would be happening. So you only have yourself to blame. Entering the Northwest Tunnel. Field access, baby. They expected to be this beautiful weather today.
Yeah, look at it. I'm looking for winter.
I know. And we thought it was going to be a cool day, and it turned out to be one of the warmest days of December. I've been on the field a handful of times. It's been a while. Brotherly love, Seahawks and Steelers fans there.
This is Norb's what? This is his better half.
Yeah.
But if you're having any complaints in the my family. Talk to him.
Shout out to PFUFA, Pro Football Ultimate Fan Association.
Not very often we get on the sideline.
Yep. First experience at the sideline.
What more can we ask for, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful day for football, playoff contention against a rival team that we never can get enough revenge on.
I will say there's way too many.
Yeah, a lot of black and yellow out there.
Way too much around in here.
If it's going to be somewhere, it's going to be over there. We just don't like it when it's over there.
That's what
We
we
don't want it
said.
up there.
There were a lot of Steelers fans up in our area, too. All right, it's almost time. We got to see DK Metcalf right there. Had a great game. 100-plus yards, 1,000-yard season again. There it is. That's it. So that was my day before the start of the Seahawks-Steelers game when they got to introduce me as the Seahawks Fan of the Year. Quite surreal. But again, appreciate all the 12s, all the Seahawks organization for selecting me. It's an amazing honor. So looking forward to representing the Seahawks in Vegas at the NFL Honors and the Super Bowl. So I will definitely be documenting my journey and trying to show as much of the experience as possible. So there you go. Well, a couple more minutes to go in this live stream on Bleacher Report. Again, thanks again. You're watching NorbCam. NorbCawili is my name, and you can check me out on socials here, all under the name NorbCam. Again, as I said earlier, I'll be live streaming the playoff game, NCAA playoff game between the University of Washington Huskies and the Texas Longhorns. That's going to be an exciting game that all of Seattle is going to be rooting for the Huskies to pull off a win there and make it to the national championship. So we'll see what happens there. But, yeah, like I said, the Seahawks, Steelers, disappointing game. They're going to have to turn things around real quick, and now it's like desperation time. The Seahawks have got to find a way to get a win against a hot Cardinals team at home in Arizona. And we got to just hope that the Bears play the game of the season against the Packers at home. So crazy that it comes down. It was exactly what happened last year with the Packers and the Seahawks trying to get that final wild card spot and us having to win and rely on the Packers to lose. Unbelievable. How could you script that to happen 2 years in a row? But here we are. Well, hope you guys enjoy the start of your first day of 2024. Again, Happy New Year. Please come visit my content here on my socials. I do a lot of different vlogs during the course of the week. I also do music videos about the games, entertainment sketches, collaborations. And I'm hoping, besides this game coming up, we'll have more Seahawks football to talk about. But it all comes down to Sunday. So I will be streaming that game as well, and we'll see what happens. But for the time being, we lick our wounds, move on. Now it's all about, at least for us Seahawks fans, we shift gears to the Washington Huskies and hope for a playoff win this afternoon or tonight. All right, that is it. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm NorbCawili, and we'll see you next time. Go Hawks.